The morning sun filtered gently through the trees at the exclusive Metobrook Hills playground. Mothers in designer dresses clustered near the benches, sipping lattes and exchanging gossip in low, sharp tones. The air was crisp, the grass manicured. To perfection. A setting carefully curated for those who believe themselves untouched by the chaos of the world beyond their gated paradise. And yet, on this particular morning, something happened that cracked the perfect porcelain veneer of the neighborhood. Patricia Whitmore's shrill voice tore through the air like a blade. "My God, get your daughter away from that man right now." Her hand, adorned with a glittering diamond ring, was rigidly outstretched, pointing like an accusation toward the figure crouching in the grass. Marcus Thompson, a tall black man of 35, looked up slowly from where he knelt, soil clinging to his rough hands. His uniform was that of a gardener, faded green with patches on the knees. In front of him stood little Emma Richardson, 7 years old, her golden hair falling into her face. She had not spoken a single word in 3 years, not since the accident that had taken her father's life. But now her lips trembled with a sound, fragile and miraculous. "Hello?" she whispered. The single word froze her mother in place. Victoria Richardson, billionaire CEO of Richardson Tech, felt her knees weaken. Therapists, neurologists, child trauma specialists, she had spent millions. But her daughter had lived in silence for 1,995 days. And now, with one simple word spoken to a stranger the neighborhood dismissed as invisible, the silence had been broken. Patricia lowered her voice, leaning close to Victoria's ear with a conspiratorial hiss. "Victoria, you can't let your daughter interact with people like that. What kind of example are you setting?" Marcus rose slowly, brushing dirt from his palms. His eyes, steady, calm, and unsettlingly deep, met Victoria's. There was no shame there. No defensiveness, only a kind of stillness that unsettled her more than Patricia's shrieking ever could. "Mommy," Emma whispered again, tugging at her mother's sleeve, her voice stronger now, though hesitant. "He heard me. He really heard me." Victoria swallowed hard, torn between disbelief and awe. Emma's voice was fragile, but it was real. "Emma, come here right now," Patricia snapped, extending her hand like a command. "Your mother needs to take you home immediately." But the child didn't move. She only stared up at Marcus, who offered her a kind smile as he carefully placed his worn tools into a battered wooden box. "Thank you," Emma said softly, louder than before. Marcus inclined his head in respect. "It was a pleasure to meet you, little Emma. Keep using that beautiful voice." He turned to Victoria with a polite nod. "Have a good day, Mrs. Richardson." As he walked away, pushing his cart, Victoria noticed scars running along his arms. The stiffness of his left leg, the weight of experience etched into his movements. She couldn't explain it, but something told her this man carried far more than the title of gardener. Patricia's lips curled in disgust. These people always try to take advantage of families like ours. He's probably already scheming blackmail, extortion, you wait and see. But Victoria wasn't listening. Her eyes lingered on the retreating figure. Emma had spoken. And she hadn't spoken to therapists or teachers or doctors. She had spoken to Marcus Thompson. That night, Victoria lay awake, staring at the ceiling of her sprawling mansion. For years, she had built her empire on technology designed to help people communicate. Yet it was a gardener someone society dismissed that had unlocked her daughter's silence. She didn't know what disturbed her more, that Emma had spoken at all, or that it had happened with Marcus. There was something about him, something Patricia's arrogance blinded her to, but Victoria couldn't ignore. The following Monday, Marcus arrived for work as usual 45 minutes before his shift began. The early morning air was cool, and he carried only his dented thermos of coffee in his toolbox. But waiting for him at the back gate was a note taped firmly to the iron bars. Inappropriate behavior with minors. Violation of conduct rules. Final warning before dismissal. Signed, Patricia Whitmore, President of the Residents Association. Marcus read it silently, then folded it neatly into his pocket. His jaw tightened, but his expression never wavered. He had faced worse. 2 tours in Afghanistan as a combat Medic had hardened him against threats, far greater than a suburban queen with too much time on her hands. Then a familiar voice rang out. "Marcus!" Emma came running across the lawn, her laughter clear and unrestrained. Behind her, Patricia's angry shouts sliced through the morning air. "Emma Richardson, come back here this instant!" Emma ignored her. Breathless, she threw herself at Marcus, beaming. "Good morning. Last night I told Mommy all about you. She said you must be very special." Marcus bent down, smiling gently. "Good morning, little one. That makes me happy to hear." Patricia arrived seconds later, face flushed with fury. "This is unacceptable. You are deliberately violating the rules of this community." She jabbed a manicured finger at him. "And you, young lady, are being extremely rude by ignoring direct instructions." "But he's my friend," Emma replied simply, clutching Marcus's hand. Patricia's voice shook with outrage. "Friends, don't be ridiculous. You have no idea where this man came from, what kind of life he's had, what he really is." Marcus rose slowly, still holding Emma's hand. His voice was calm, but carried an authority that made Patricia falter. "You're right, Mrs. Whitmore. Miss Emma doesn't know who I am, just as you don't." Patricia's lips parted, but no words came. For the first time, she seemed unsettled. Victoria arrived, her expression guarded. She had barely slept, consumed with researching everything she could about Marcus. His past was obscured, vague, but the instinct gnawed at her that this man was not what he seemed. "Good morning, Marcus," Victoria said, ignoring Patricia completely. "Emma hasn't stopped talking about you. Mommy, look!" Emma ran a few steps across the grass. "He taught me that when you run in the garden, you should step on the soft grass, not the hard grass." "The hard grass hurts," Victoria raised an eyebrow. "You know about botany?" "A little," Marcus said modestly. "Gardening helps me stay calm." Patricia's exasperation boiled over. "Victoria, you can't allow this. The rules are clear. Employees are not to fraternize with residents." Victoria's eyes hardened. Emma hadn't spoken in 3 years. "If Marcus has been able to help her, then not only do I allow it, I encourage it." Patricia blanched. "You don't understand. People like him always have ulterior motives." Victoria turned to Marcus. "Have you worked with children before?" Patricia scoffed. "What kind of question is that?" "He's a gardener." But Marcus's gaze locked with Victoria's, steady and unflinching. "I've worked with many people who needed to find their voice," he said quietly. And in that moment, Victoria knew with startling clarity Marcus Thompson was not what he appeared that evening in his small apartment shared with 2 other veterans. Marcus dialed a number he hadn't called in years. His hands trembled slightly as he gripped the phone. "Colonel Davidson," came the voice on the other end. "Colonel," Marcus said firmly, "this is Dr. Marcus Thompson. I need my complete military records." A stunned silence followed. "Marcus? My God, son, where have you been? We've been trying to reach you since you left the hospital. You vanished. I've been finding myself, but now I need proof of who I really am. I need my medical certificates, my decorations, and especially the Kandahar mission report." "Marcus, you saved 17 Afghan children in that hospital. You operated for 14 hours straight under enemy fire. You're a decorated war hero. One of the finest surgeons this country has ever seen." Marcus's voice cracked. "I don't feel that way when people look at me and see nothing but a black gardener." "I'll send everything today," the colonel promised. "And Marcus, remember who you are?" But while Marcus reconnected with his past, Patricia plotted. In her pristine living room, surrounded by wealthy neighbors, she laid out her scheme. "Ladies, we have a disruptive element in our community. He's dangerous, and now Victoria is defending him." The women whispered, nodding, sipping their tea. Words like unstable, suspicious, and inappropriate filled the air. Plans for private investigators and documentation of every move were made. But Patricia didn't know that Marcus had already anticipated this. The next morning, Marcus arrived not only with his toolbox, but with a discreet digital recorder and a smartphone Victoria had deliberately left in the garden. set to record got when Patricia stormed in with her entourage, camera flashing. Marcus remained calm. His voice was polite, articulate, precise, so precise it made Patricia falter. With each question he asked, he cornered her into exposing her prejudice, every word captured clearly on record. And when Patricia hissed under her breath, "People like you can fool some, but I know exactly what you are," Marcus's faint smile revealed that she had given him exactly what he needed. 2 days later, the entire condominium gathered for an emergency meeting. Patricia called for Marcus's dismissal, waving folders and reports. Private investigators declared him unstable, broken, unfit, but when Marcus rose, the hall fell silent. His voice was no longer that of a gardener. It carried the weight of command, the authority of a man who had once held lives in his hands. He presented his records, his military honors, his medical credentials, his heroism. Then he played the recordings. Patricia's venom.